Part 1. The Million Dollar Fear. Have you ever logged into your retirement account, looked at the number, and felt that quiet wave of panic? Maybe you've saved $100,000, maybe $200,000. And then you type into Google, how much do I need to retire? The calculators respond instantly. $1.5 million, $1.8 million, $2 million. Some even suggest more. And in that moment, retirement stops feeling hopeful. It starts feeling impossible. You begin doing the math in your head. How many more years do I need to work? Will I ever actually get there? Am I already too far behind? That anxiety, that quiet fear, and is incredibly common. But here's what those calculators aren't showing you. Right now, today, there are thousands of Americans living full, meaningful, happy retirement lives on $2,500 a month. They're not scraping by, they're not sitting in dark apartments, cutting coupons all day. They're traveling, they're spending time with their grandchildren, they're volunteering, they're taking classes, they're enjoying slower mornings and calmer evenings. And most of them, they have less than $300,000 saved for retirement. Some have far less. So if you've been losing sleep because your retirement account doesn't look like what the experts say it should, take a breath. Those massive retirement numbers are based on assumptions. Assumptions that often don't reflect how real people actually live once they stop working. Today, we're going to break this down carefully. We're going to look at the real data, the real math, the real spending patterns of actual retirees, and how retirement actually works when you stop trying to fund a working lifestyle with retirement money. Because the truth is this, the gap between what you think you need and what you actually need may be far smaller than you've been told. Part 2. Why the calculators keep saying $2 million. Let's start with something simple. Imagine the same person, same age, same income, same savings rate, same retirement goal. Now run that person through 3 different retirement calculators. One says they need $1.4 million. Another says $1.8 million. A third says $2.1 million. That's a $700,000 difference. For the exact same person, how is that possible? It happens because calculators are built on assumptions, and those assumptions vary. They assume a specific life expectancy, a specific inflation rate, a specific investment return, a specific withdrawal strategy, and often unrealistically high spending levels. But there's another layer people don't talk about. Financial companies make money when you invest with them. The larger the number they convince you that you need, the more you feel pressure to save aggressively. The more assets flow into their accounts. The more fees they collect over time. I'm not saying they're evil. I'm saying they have a business model, and that model works best when you feel just uncomfortable enough, just anxious enough, to keep working longer and saving more. Fear is powerful. Fear keeps money invested. Fear keeps you from retiring. But here's where things get interesting. Instead of looking at projections and theoretical models, what if we look at real retirees? The Employee Benefit Research Institute released data tracking actual retired households. Not simulations, not calculator outputs. Real people living real retirement lives. And what they found was this. The median retired household spends about $2,800 per month. Not $10,000. Not $15,000. $2,800. That's the middle number. Half spend more, half spend less. That number alone changes everything. Because if your actual spending is closer to $2,500 or $3,000 per month, why are calculators preparing you for a $120,000 per year retirement? This is where the disconnect begins. Retirement calculators often assume you'll continue living like a high-earning, fully employed worker, just without the paycheck. But retirement doesn't work that way. When you stop working, your expenses don't just shift. Many of them disappear, and that's the part nobody emphasizes enough. Part 3. The $1,500 that disappears. There's something almost magical that happens the month you stop working. It's not dramatic, it's not obvious, but it's powerful. A significant portion of your monthly expenses simply disappears. I call it the disappearing $1,500. For many working Americans, that's roughly how much vanishes once employment ends, and most people never calculate it. Let's break it down. 1. The commute. If you drive to work 5 days a week, you're paying for gas maintenance oil, changes tires, accelerated vehicle wear. The average American commute is around 40 minutes each way. That's 80 minutes a day, 5 days a week, month after month. If gas costs $3.50 per gallon, your car gets 25 miles per gallon, and you drive 25 miles each way, you're easily spending around $150 per month just on fuel. Add in maintenance averaged over the year, oil changes more frequently, tires wearing out twice as fast, and that's another $75 to $100 per month. That's $225 to $250 already gone. And we haven't even touched the bigger categories yet. 2. Convenience spending. When you work 40, 50, even 60 hours a week, time becomes your most limited resource, so you pay extra to save it. Work lunches, $12 each. 4 times a week, that's nearly $200 per month. Pre-made grocery meals because you're exhausted? Delivery on Friday night because you can't cook again? Those small decisions feel harmless in the moment, but over a month they stack up fast. In retirement, something changes. You have time. You can cook. You can meal prep. You can shop sales. You can buy in bulk. That convenience tax fades away. For many households, that's another $300 to $500 per month reclaimed. 3. Stress spending. This one is subtle. When you're exhausted, when you're overwhelmed, when work drains you mentally and emotionally, you spend to cope. The $5 coffee for a quick emotional lift. The $40 Amazon purchase because clicking buy now feels like control. The subscriptions you barely use but don't have the energy to cancel. Studies estimate this kind of stress-related spending can reach $200 to $500 per month for the average worker. In retirement, when your schedule slows down and your stress drops, much of it simply stops. Not because you're forced to cut back, but because the emotional trigger is gone. 4. The professional wardrobe office clothes, dry cleaning, shoes, seasonal wardrobe updates. Once you're no longer commuting to an office daily, this category shrinks dramatically. Add another $100 to $200 per month on average. Now let's total this up. Commute and maintenance, approximately $250. Work lunches and convenience food, approximately $300 to $500. Stress spending, approximately $200 to $500. Professional wardrobe, approximately $100 to $200. That's $1,200 to $1,500 per month that often disappears. Which means if you were spending $5,000 per month while working, you might only need $3,500 in retirement to maintain the exact same lifestyle. And if you're intentional, thoughtful, strategic, you can reduce that even further. This is why so many retirees are comfortable on $2,500 per month. Because they're not funding a working lifestyle anymore, they're funding a life. And those are two very different things. Part 4, the 3 income pillars. Why you don't need $1 million portfolio. Most people imagine retirement like this. You save up one massive pile of money, you stop working, and then you slowly drain that pile until the day you die. If the pile runs out, that's the nightmare scenario. That's the image retirement calculators want you obsessing over, a shrinking account balance and a ticking clock. But that's not how successful retirement actually works. Real retirement income doesn't come from one source. It comes from 3 pillars working together. And once you understand how they interact, the $1 million requirement starts to look very different. Pillar 1. Government income, Social Security. Financial experts often treat Social Security like a small bonus. Don't rely on it. Assume it won't be there. It's just a supplement. But let's look at the real numbers. As of January 2026, the average monthly Social Security benefit for a retired worker is about $2,100 per month. If you're married and both spouses worked, you could be looking at $3,500 to $4,200 per month combined. That's not a supplement, that's a foundation. Yes, Social Security faces funding challenges. Yes, there are trust fund concerns. But even under the most pessimistic projections from policy experts, benefits would still pay out roughly 75 to 80% of scheduled amounts, and it's not going to zero. So why do calculators often minimize it? Because if they assume you'll fund retirement entirely from investments, the number required skyrockets. But in reality, Social Security covers a large portion, sometimes the majority, of essential expenses for many retirees. Let's run simple math. If your retirement spending is $2,500 per month and Social Security provides $2,100, you only need to cover $400 per month from savings. That changes everything. Pillar 2, your saved investments. Now let's talk about your 401k IRA brokerage accounts, the money you personally saved. Let's assume you've saved $200,000. Using the example above, you need $400 per month. That's $4,800 per year. If you withdraw $4,800 annually from $200,000, that's a 2.4% withdrawal rate. Every retirement expert on the planet considers that extremely conservative. At 2 to 3% withdrawal rates, a portfolio can often last 40 to 50 years and sometimes longer, depending on market conditions. But calculators frequently assume you're withdrawing 4% or more to fund your entire lifestyle. That's why they spit out $1 to $2 million targets. Because they assume no meaningful Social Security support, no lifestyle adjustments, and full reliance on investments. In reality, most retirees are bridging a gap, not funding everything from scratch. And that gap is often much smaller than advertised. Pillar 3, Income 3.0, Flexible Optional Income. This is the pillar nobody talked about 20 years ago. But today, it's powerful. Retirement no longer means zero income. It means freedom of choice. Let's say you enjoy dogs. You walk dogs or pet sit 5 hours a week. That could generate $300 to $500 per month. Maybe you drive Uber or Lyft occasionally. 8 hours a week on your schedule could bring in another $400 to $600. Have a spare room? Rent it on Airbnb a few weekends a month. Again, a few $100s. The point isn't that you must work. The point is flexibility. If you bring in even $300 per month, that dramatically reduces how much you need from savings. It creates breathing room. It creates psychological comfort. It gives you options. And unlike your old career, this income is on your terms, your schedule, your rules, your energy level. Now step back and look at the system. Pillar 1, Social Security. Foundation. Pillar 2, Investments. Bridge pillar. 3, Flexible income. Buffer. You're not living off a shrinking pile of money. You're building an income system. And systems are far more stable than a single bucket of savings. This is how people retire comfortably on $2,500 per month without $1 million in the bank. But here's where things get even more interesting. Because the single largest retirement expense isn't food. It isn't utilities. It isn't even healthcare. It's housing. And housing is where you have the most control. Part 5. Lifestyle engineering. How housing changes the entire equation. When people think about cutting retirement costs, they imagine sacrifice. Smaller life, less joy, constant restriction. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about lifestyle engineering. Not shrinking your life, but redesigning it. Because the biggest expense in retirement for most people isn't food, it isn't utilities, it isn't even healthcare. It's housing. And housing is the category where small changes create massive financial impact. Geographic arbitrage. It sounds complicated. It's not. It simply means moving somewhere your money goes further. The same lifestyle can cost radically different amounts depending on your zip code. If you retire in California, New York, Massachusetts, you may face high property taxes, high insurance costs, and a high overall cost of living. But what if you move to Tennessee, Florida, Texas states with no state income tax, lower property taxes, lower overall living costs? I know people who sold their home in California for $600,000, bought a similar home in Tennessee for $300,000, put $300,000 in the bank, and reduced their monthly housing costs by $1,000 per month. That's a permanent $12,000 per year raise. They didn't downgrade their lifestyle, they changed their location, and that single decision reduced the retirement number they needed by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Downsizing. But smarter traditional advice says, sell the big house, move into something smaller, pocket the difference. And yes, that works. But there are other creative approaches. What if your house has a basement with a separate entrance, an unused guest suite, a detached unit? Turning part of your home into a rental could generate $800 to $1,000 per month. That alone could cover a huge portion of your living expenses. Or consider house hacking. Move into a smaller property. Rent out your primary home. Let renters cover your mortgage and property taxes while you live somewhere cheaper. You're not cutting back, you're optimizing. That's lifestyle engineering. Healthcare reality, not fear. Healthcare is the category that scares people the most. And yes, healthcare in America is expensive, but here's what often gets overlooked. Once you turn 65 and qualify for Medicare, costs become more predictable. You're no longer exposed to catastrophic private insurance premiums. As of 2026, Medicare Part B premiums are about $175 per month per person. A supplemental plan typically adds $100 to $200 per month. That means roughly $300 to $400 per month per person for fairly comprehensive coverage. Is it free? No. Is it the financial apocalypse many imagine? Also no. When you build healthcare into your $2,500 to $3,000 retirement budget, realistically, it becomes manageable, not terrifying. High value, low cost substitutions. Here's where retirement becomes surprisingly enjoyable. You don't give up what you love, you just approach it differently. Love concerts? Instead of $200 arena shows, go to local venues or free park concerts. Love dining out? Swap high-end restaurants twice a week for happy hours and local spots. Love travel? Road trips instead of flights. Airbnbs instead of hotels. Off-season instead of peak. You're not eliminating joy, you're removing unnecessary cost layers. That's the difference. And when retirees embrace this mindset, they often discover something unexpected. They're happier because their time is no longer consumed by work stress. Their schedule slows down. They enjoy simple things more, and simple things cost less. Now think about this. If you could reduce your monthly expenses by just $1,000 through housing optimization and smarter substitutions, that's $12,000 per year. Over a 25-year retirement, that's $300,000 less you need saved. One decision. Hundreds of thousands of dollars difference. That's why the million-dollar myth collapses when you analyze housing closely. We've covered the fear-based million-dollar narrative, the disappearing $1,500, the 3 income pillars, lifestyle engineering. Now it's time to bring this all together, to turn theory into a step-by-step blueprint you can actually use. Part 6. The 4-step $2,500 retirement blueprint. Up to this point, we've talked about ideas. Now let's turn those ideas into a clear plan, because knowledge without action doesn't change your life. Here is the simple 4-step framework behind the $2,500 retirement. Step 1. Calculate your real retirement number. Not the calculator's number, your number. Start with your current monthly spending. Now subtract commuting costs, work lunches, Professional wardrobe convenience purchases stress spending. For most people, that removes $1,200 to $1,500 per month immediately. Then ask yourself a powerful question. What do I actually need to live the life I want? Not the life of a full-time employee, not the lifestyle of someone trying to impress coworkers, the life you genuinely value. For many people, when they run this honestly, the number lands between $2,500 and $3,500 per month. That's dramatically different from $8,000 or $10,000 assumptions built into many calculators. Clarity reduces fear. Step 2, build your 3 pillars. Now that you know your monthly target, break it into pillars. Pillar 1, Social Security. Go to the Social Security website, create an account, look at your projected benefit. Let's say it's $2,100 per month. That's your foundation. If you're married and both worked, it could be significantly higher. Write that number down. Pillar 2, your investments. Now look at what you've actually saved. 401k, IRA, brokerage accounts. Let's say it's $200,000. If your spending target is $2,500 and Social Security gives you $2,100, you only need $400 per month from savings. That's $4,800 per year. From $200,000, that's a 2.4% withdrawal rate. Extremely conservative. Suddenly, $200,000 doesn't look small. It looks powerful. Pillar 3, flexible income. Now ask, what could I do 5 to 10 hours per week that I wouldn't hate? Dog walking, consulting in your former field, freelancing, driving part-time, teaching, selling items online. Even $300 to $500 per month adds tremendous flexibility. And here's the key. You don't need this pillar to survive. You use it to create comfort, to create margin, to reduce stress. That psychological buffer is often more valuable than the money itself. Step 3, engineer your lifestyle. Now look at housing. Is relocating realistic? Could downsizing work? Could renting a portion of your home create income? Even modest housing optimization can reduce your required savings by hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. Then look at spending categories. Are you funding habits or funding happiness? Retirement gives you time, and time lets you replace expensive convenience with thoughtful living. This isn't deprivation, it's design. Step 4, test it before you commit. This is the step almost nobody talks about. Before you retire, simulate retirement. If your target is $2,500 per month, live on $2,500 per month for 3 to 6 months while you're still working. See how it feels. Where are the friction points? What do you miss? What turns out to be easier than expected? If you can comfortably live on that amount while working, you can absolutely live on it in retirement. This removes guesswork. It replaces fear with evidence. The real truth about retirement isn't about the number in your account. It's about the gap between income and expenses. The smaller that gap, the more freedom you have. There are people with $1 million saved who feel anxious and constrained because their lifestyle demands $8,000 per month. And there are people with $300,000 saved who feel secure and peaceful because they engineered their life around $2,500 per month. The difference isn't luck, it's math and intention. Most of you probably don't need 5 more years. You don't need to chase a mythical savings number. You need to calculate your real spending, build your 3 pillars, and design your lifestyle intentionally. Retirement without $1 million isn't a fantasy. Thousands of people are living it right now. They just don't make headlines because fear sells better than contentment. Now let me ask you something powerful. What's your real number? Not the calculator's number, not your coworker's guess, not your brother-in-law's opinion, your number. The monthly amount that would allow you to live the life you actually want.